keep coming back to this thought that we're just not really talking to each other. COVID created this sort of really unique situation. We were told to stay inside and told to not see each other in person. And the only way that we were able to effectively communicate with each other for many of us was through a screen. Knowing that there's a little X in the corner of a screen where you can click away from somebody, you can click away from a face the minute you don't want to see it. That changed something about the way that we communicate. It allowed a sort of escape in the way that we communicate. At the same time, we started spending more time on social media. Social media opened the door to allowing us to remove our empathy and our humanity from the situation. It fostered an environment where we could say the absolute worst thing to somebody, and we didn't have to see the look in their eyes when they received it. And social media fosters an environment where you can remove that from the equation of conversation. You can remove it from the social contract. You're piling on the trauma of living through a worldwide pandemic. No one really has done a lot of work on a cultural level to try to handle that trauma and try to make sense of it and try to help people heal from it. You know, we're 6 years down the road from when this started, in literally just a couple of weeks from when everything shut down. And our culture has allowed us to carry over that lack of humanity in our interaction into day-to-day life. It's no longer, we've spent so much time communicating through a screen and writing screeds through a screen and insulting each other through a screen and treating each other terribly through a screen that it's almost as if we're walking around with the screen in front of our faces when we talk to people in person. And now I've personally witnessed people talk to each other in person the way they would on social media, saying the worst things imaginable to another human being. Our culture is hitting a breaking point. I know there's a difference between the modern Republican Party and the modern Democrat Party, but I think both of them work to nefarious ends for self-enrichment and self-empowerment. And I think they are happy to use us as pawns to do it as long as we continue to let them. And I think what they do very well is use one or two core issues for voters. And they play on those things, on that fear that your issue, whatever it is going to be, the other side is going to do it wrong. So let's say it's abortion, right? In either direction. Democrats use abortion as a way to fundraise and gain votes by saying Republicans want to take this away from you. They want to take away what should be a right. Republicans flip it on the other side and say Democrats want to kill babies. And that goes against God. It goes against Christianity. It goes against the Bible. And they use that to garner fundraising and votes. And I think for a lot of people, that one issue is a huge issue for them, huge enough that they're willing to accept other things about those parties and or those candidates that are pretty distasteful, sometimes downright terrible, in order to make sure that the issue that's important to them, that the line is held for that issue. If Democrats really cared about ensuring that abortion was a right, they would have codified it federally. And by that same token, if Republicans were really that concerned about getting rid of it wholesale, they would codify that federally. But they don't. They use these things to keep you fighting amongst each other. I am going to start having a series of conversations, hopefully with you. I am of the belief that a lot of the way that we're voting is coming down to one or two things for each person. Whatever your individual issue is, that's why you're leaning how you're leaning. And I think those things are so important to you that you're willing to deal with, like I said, the more distasteful or more terrible parts of that candidate or party to ensure that your thing is maintained the way that you want it to be. I'm interested in hearing what that is. And I'm interested in hearing why. These conversations are not part of some gotcha scheme. I'm not here to make you look stupid. I'm really not even here to argue with you. We may disagree and we may debate and we may have a conversation that can sometimes get passionate. But what I can tell you is that I'm open to listening to anybody. I'm trying to approach this with curiosity and an openness to hearing from you what it is. It is always my hope that data, experience, and new information is what shapes an opinion. I know that's not always the case. And maybe that's a pipe dream to expect it from everybody. And the only reason that I hope for that is because that's been my story. There are things that I was vehemently against not that long ago. I used to be anti-abortion. I used to be anti-gun. And I've turned around on both of those things through my experience and through conversations, through curiosity, through approaching something openly instead of just blanket statements of saying, nope, that's how I'm going to be for the rest of my life and it's never going to change. I talked to people and I learned things about myself and about them. And now I'm an ardent supporter of the Second Amendment. And I believe in a woman's right to choose. I don't feel that either political party is really representing the working class and the poverty class. And I think the working class and poverty class is growing exponentially by the minute. We already outnumber the upper class. We severely outnumber the 0.01%, which is why they're called the 0.01%. I don't think that this is an issue of Democrats versus Republicans. I don't think it's an issue of the faithful versus atheists. I don't think it's an issue of gays versus straights, of trans versus cis, of black versus white, of immigrant versus citizen. I think this is an issue of the 0.01% and the 99.99% of the rest of us. I think that is the struggle. And I think once you solve economic problems, desperation goes away. People stop looking for who to blame for why their life isn't going well. And a lot of the culture problems go away. And I think these culture wars are used as a distraction method to keep you from caring about the economic problems. I don't think social media is in our corner. I think social media views us as the product, and they're selling us and our attention to their advertisers. Most political pundits don't really stand for anything. I don't think they believe in, most of the time, what it is they're talking about. I think they believe in self-enrichment and keeping their subscriber base, but I don't really think they believe in most of what they say. I think they just know it'll get them clicks, clout, and money. I don't want to be part of a system like that. I want to try to be better. Don't take this as any sort of sanctimony from me. I don't think I'm better than any of you. Not any of you. What I think I am is curious. I want to know why you think how you think. I want to know the one or two things that are important enough to you that you'll tolerate all the other things around it. And this goes for people who vote Democrat as well as Republican. I want to understand the hills we die on. And I want to understand the hills we choose.